I'm Sari Kimbell, and I've done just about everything in the food industry. I have helped hundreds of packaged food business entrepreneurs, and now I want to help you make your delicious dream a reality. Whether you want to be successful at farmers markets, online, or wholesale onto store shelves, food business success is your secret ingredient. I will show you how to avoid an expensive hobby and instead run a profitable food business. Now let's jump in. Welcome to the podcast. So happy you are here. This is a very special one for me. I am talking with April and Earl of Better Than Provisions, and I love all my clients, but these guys are definitely some of my favorites. And we have just been on a journey together for we're going on a year and a half now, and I have just watched them grow and evolve and really transform their business. And you're going to hear all about it in this interview. And I will just say, we talk about them setting some big goals for the year. And we just had a call yesterday, and they far and away exceeded their monthly goal, their stretch goal. And it was so amazing to celebrate with them. And we are totally on track to hit that big annual goal as well. So, so fun. So as we come out of Thanksgiving week, I just couldn't think of a better episode to air than this episode with April and Earl. I just have so much gratitude for both of them, for the journey we've been on together, for watching them grow as humans and business owners. It's just been truly a gift of my life, and I can't wait for you to have a listen. I do want to throw out two offers to you here at the beginning, because we do have some time-sensitive things coming up inside Food Business Success. So I am closing the doors on November 30th. That is today, my friends, in case you are not looking at a calendar, tonight at midnight for the online Food Business Success program. It is now a monthly membership rate, which is super affordable. I really wanted to help all of you out there who have that nudge, right? Just starting out your business, just thinking about starting it in January of 2022, maybe. And you are wondering where to start. That is what Food Business Success is for. And those doors are closing here shortly. So I don't want you to miss out on a special live workshop all around goal setting and setting up your goals, your business for 2022, so you can hit the ground running in January. If you decide to wait, it's fine, but you are going to be starting late. You're going to be behind where you could be like just right out of the gate, right? Just starting after the holidays. So we're going to be doing some really great work inside the program, some deep work on goals. And I want people to be in that program who are excited and ready to go to get set up for the new year. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, just go to foodbizsuccess.com and then click on I want to start a business, and that'll take you to the short application, and then you'll be able to get registered. And again, those doors are closing, and you will not be able to get in until later in 2022. So this is your opportunity. If you need a sign, this is it. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that I do have several openings for new business coaching clients in January. So if you want to get started in January, set yourself up to go after a big goal with one-on-one coaching from me. That is definitely an option for you. So go to the website, or you can go to sarikimbell.com. But apply for the coaching program, Sari Kimbell Coaching, and you get full access to Food Business Success, but you also get weekly calls with me and so much more one-on-one help. All right. The other thing is, if you are wanting to watch us on video, I did go ahead and put up the full video on YouTube. This intro is not on YouTube because I tried it a number of times and something was going on with Zoom. So we're just doing it this way. But here, as soon as I finish this little intro, the video will start and you'll be able to see April, Earl, and I in our Better Than Provisions gear talking all about their business. All right. I think that's enough intro for today. Let's get to the interview. Welcome, April and Earl of Better Than Provisions, officially onto the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
It is. I know it's like, when is the right time, because you guys just keep hitting milestone after milestone and crushing it. It's like, well, let's wait till this. But at some point we just got to do it because you guys aren't going to stop. So we'll catch up another time down the road and it'll be even better. But so April and Earl started Better Than Provisions. I'm going to have them tell you their story a little bit more, but they're down in Tucson, Arizona, and they have an amazing keto granola. And they started working with me about 1 year and 3 months ago now. And it has just been my honor and pleasure to work with this amazing couple and these individuals. April and I tend to make each other cry. So.
No crying this hour.
Happy tears. Yeah, we need to get some context there because we want to make sure that people don't think that we're making each other cry by working together.
That's true. No, thank you for clarifying that. No, yeah. We generally make each other cry from all the love and all the feels and all the good appreciation. And Earl too, but I don't typically cry as much.
I don't make you guys cry.
Anyway, so why don't you guys just take a minute and introduce yourselves and your business officially to everyone listening and tell us a little bit about your background and where you're at in your business.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yes. Let's start with just the history. Who are you? Where?
Yeah. So our history, just kind of dating back to when this all started-ish, is that I have a background in holistic nutrition and Earl has a background in massage therapy. So we were very about the healing of the body through holistic methods, right? And my journey, and we may have talked about this a little bit on the coaching call or the coaching podcast episode, is I had a long history with ups and downs in chronic illness. And so my approach to healing myself was very holistic, had a lot to do with what I ate and what I was putting into my body. And so that was really important to me. And it's been a long journey in the regard that I've had ups and downs through the past 2 decades. And Earl and I are going on 9 years married and 10 years together. So he met me about halfway through that journey. Fast forward to when we actually got introduced to the product. So I was traveling and I was visiting home for a month, which is Wisconsin. And I was on a very particular way of eating, a diet. I had certain restrictions and certain things I could eat. And so for traveling, it was really hard to find something that I could take with me and carry and always have something as a snack. And I was visiting a friend and she at the time was exploring the ketogenic diet. And so part of my background is nutrition theory. That's what I studied, was nutrition theory. And the introduction of her, at that point I hadn't really understood anything about keto. In fact, I looked at it and I was like, are you sure about this? I don't know about this now.
This is fats and
yeah, what is this, eating all this fat? It can't be good for you, right? And that was my first thought around it, right? But then she had made this granola product. So it was like a trail mix. And I was at her house and I'm like, oh, I'll try what you're making. She's like, I make these different things. I make this granola. I make these things called fat bombs. And I'm like, well, it sounds good. Like it sounds tasty. I'll try it. And so I tried it. I tried the version that she made. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And so she made me a batch of my own that I carried around with me as I traveled. And it was free of all the things that I was avoiding. And it was also really, packed with vitamins and nutrients and good things that I really wanted to, it kept me satisfied. It was filling and it was also nutritious. So I she gave me her recipe. I brought that recipe back to Tucson and made it for Earl, and Earl liked it a lot.
I did. And, whatever dietary thing that April was doing at the time pretty much meant that I was in. So, for me to have something that I could eat that felt like, I was maybe taking a step back from the table. It was like, wow, this is great. Yeah, you should make some more of this so I can take some to work or wherever.
Yeah.
Keep it in the truck or, if I could, I didn't know at the time, if it could travel well, but it does.
Such an amazing product because
Yeah.
And so variable, so travelable. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And that was what was really appealing about it. And then I started making it here just for us and evolving it. So there were, I played with different ingredients and sort of developed the recipe into what I really wanted it to be, a little bit more added nutrition. I played around with different, non-sugar sweeteners to get the right flavor. I really wanted it to taste good and not have like an aftertaste because it was a sugar-free product. So we goofed around with it for a while, and then I dialed it into like what it is today pretty much. And we were making it for ourselves. And this whole time I'm doing more research, right, on this ketogenic diet and this low carb, high fat concept, and really starting to wrap my head around what that could do for a person's healing process, and looking at that, integrating those concepts into my nutrition work at the time. And I was working as a health coach at a natural food store at that point and making it for my coworkers. Okay, so these are all people who are really into health and wellness too. And well, majority of them anyway. And they were like, can you make that again? And I was giving it for gifts, and I could hear people say, have you tried April's granola? And so of course that ended up becoming the initial like name of it, right? It was just April's granola. And people were saying that, and then folks started to say, well, have you guys thought about selling this product? And at the time I was like, wow, that's an interesting, I was learning so much by working for a natural food store while I was, while I was producing this. I was learning a lot. And I had worked for a food co-op in Austin when we lived in Austin, Texas, 6-7 years back. And I really got to know kind of like the grocery industry as well. And so started to think, well, maybe I could do something like that, right? Because I'm understanding how these, and I had watched several other companies, especially when I was in Austin. Austin is the birthplace of a lot of really great products. And so I watched these companies like Siete Foods and Epic Provisions and, Thunderbird Bars, and like just all of these companies that were in the CPG space and still very small, only selling, to these select handful of stores. I watched them grow into, these big mega companies. And so I started entertaining the idea. I mentioned it to Earl a couple of times, and he's more of the money mind. So
my concern at the time was that we were giving it away.
and that's an IG.
For your viewers and listeners who don't know exactly what we do a 5-nut grain-free granola.
5 nuts. It's very important.
Walnuts, pecans, macadamias, and hazelnuts. So very expensive nuts.
Yes.
And I asked her one time, I'm like, well, how much does it cost to make a batch? And she's like, well, I don't know. I go to the grocery store and I just pick up all the ingredients when I do my grocery shopping. So the price was kind of just rolled into our normal weekly grocery budget, right? So that's when I kind of took over a little bit, and I'm like, okay, well, let me go to the store and actually figure out, what would be the initial cost.
First round of cogs.
Yeah, the first round of cogs, like how much does it cost us to make it? And then how much could we sell it for? Because, it's a premium product. And we're
Yeah,
asking a premium.
it is. Your ingredients
So,
are not inexpensive.
But,
So what was the thing? Like, you're kind of dabbling in it. So why'd you decide to go for it?
Well, I think you ran the numbers and he was like, oh, we could make money doing this, right? We could, and in the beginning, it was a lot of like figuring out, well, what do we price it at? And I had gotten I've gotten the advice from another friend who was in a product business, like, do not underprice it to start, right? To ask for what it's worth and be confident that you'll find a consumer that's, willing to pay what you're asking for it, for something that is really quality. And so we kind of ran all of those scenarios, and we had I had worked for a farmer's market prior, and so we had some like friends in a certain farmers market group here in Tucson, and so we decided to just jump in and give it a try, and just start with the farmers markets. And that's what we did. We got started with one farmer's market. In fact, we didn't even have our own booth in the beginning. We had a space that we shared with another vendor so that we could try it out.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. And you were cottage food too, right?
yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
that was the thing, if we would have tried to start this business in Texas or even in Wisconsin, where we're from, there was no such, laws there. Like, we would have had to start out in a regular
Yeah.
kitchen and all the
That
things,
really allowed you to
so
tiptoe in a little bit.
I was like, well, Arizona's going to let us do it. We might as well try it. You don't have to pay rent or, all the, permitting and stuff that we eventually had to do. But
Yeah.
our foot in the door was relatively easy, honestly. So
Yeah.
Love it.
and what we realized, going to the grocery store too, was that, in addition to like figuring out the cogs and is it worth it for us to go through this, is that there really wasn't another product out there like it. And for sure one that didn't taste as good.
Right.
Because we, through the keto thing, I had gone grain free, and it made such a huge difference in my inflammation. As a massage therapist, my hands hurt all the time. So, taking the grains out, like, I'm like, well, I'm already gluten free. What's taking the rest of the grains out? That's not gonna make any difference, but it did. It really did. So then it was like, well, let's try some of the products that are out there. Let's see who we're up against, really.
Well, that came later though, I think, because initially
I don't know.
nobody, 5 years ago when I started making it, there was not another product on the market like it.
Yeah.
And
You're right
then
there.
when we started in Business, there was still really nothing available for purchase. And so we were like, well, that was another reason I think that we really looked at it, was there's nothing out there like it. So this is really probably a great time to see if we can sell a product like this.
Yeah.
And but our trajectory has been a little slower. So of course now there are a lot of companies out there doing similar products. But I think that too has sort of been a blessing in its own way, because they've paved the way for the grain-free concept, the ketogenic food concept. So there's been a lot of groundwork that's been laid as a result. But you're right,
A lot of people are very educated, and the informed questions I get daily, sometimes I don't know the answers. I gotta go to April and ask, what are they really asking me? So
Right.
about the diet and
about
whatnot.
the diet
Yeah.
and specific nutritional questions, and how do I calculate net carbs, and
I better become an expert.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I did,
Yeah.
the questions I didn't know the answer to at the farmer's market, I take them back to April, and then after you get asked the same question, a dozen times, then you're like, I know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't even have to look at my
Yeah.
notes. Yeah.
When I think that sort of points to one of the other differentiators, right, is my nutrition background. And I wouldn't have thought that I would have ever developed a product, right? I was, my space was in coaching and nutrition counseling. And that was where I thought that I was going to be, right? And that's the practice I thought I was going to grow. And then this sort of just naturally evolved this of that. And then, and then it's interesting to look back though, because I mentioned my history with working for a food co-op and then working for a natural food store.
Yeah.
And to see how like the groundwork was being laid all along for me to sort of step into this role and know a little bit more
Yeah.
than the average person. But I mean, our intention initially wasn't even to sell it in stores, right? It was just let's do this farmers market and see what happens. And so we got ourselves some craft bags from Amazon, and we got ourselves some Avery labels.
And I actually have an older bag.
Oh,
So I'm watching you on
yeah.
YouTube.
Hooray.
See it. We'll talk about branding here in a minute, but yes, here's the OG, I guess OGPS.
Yeah. And that was actually like a second or third iteration of what we started with. Like initially we had these little round stickers that we would print like a pumpkin on or a heart. We had a flame, the little emoji flame we had for sweet heat for our spicy one. We had the little bat, and those were all stuck all over, and it was very cutesy and cartoonish and
very farmers markety. I love it. So
markety, yeah.
No, but it's fun to look back at your progression, and I love that too. I think April, you and I share that in common, where we've done a lot of different things, and then you look back and you're like, oh, there was a plan. I just didn't know at the time. I mean, because you kind of have some marketing background and some trade show. I mean, you've done a lot too. So
yes.
So how long were you at the farmers market? And then let's go to like COVID, when COVID hit. So
okay. Yeah. So we started the farmers market in 2018. September of 2018 was when or the end of September. So I would say like October 1st is kind of what we put as our anniversary date. And we were doing the co-sharing co-space with our friend who did like seed crackers. We were with her for what, like a month or so maybe. And then we got our own space. And then we just rolled with that one farmer's market for what was maybe a year.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because the end of 2019, right? So this is just like pre-COVID. We had added farmers markets. We had added a couple of farmers markets.
We had at least
three. We had tried one additional one. That
we were in the co-op. The co-op here picked us up right away.
Right, you got the
wholesale. One of our
wholesale.
biggest supporters. They helped us figure out some of the like licensing and insurance and pricing.
Now we got to be in the kitchen. And
yeah, they were very transparent. I mean, we asked them questions about like, well, what are you looking for in a margin? Like,
yeah. Right.
And they helped us figure that out. Like literally helped us figure that out. So,
shout out to Food Conspiracy Co-op in Tucson. Just a really great place and great people and really supportive, and allowed us to figure that first wholesale account out. And then when we look toward the end of our first year, we're going to, we're like, oh, well, we could grow this in other ways. We could maybe get more wholesale accounts, starting to think about that and ship and have a website. We did have a website. We did do some shipping, although we didn't move into a commercial kitchen space until the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
So it was literally, what was it, January or something of 2020, we moved into the kitchen space. And we started working out of
high hopes for 2020.
Really high hopes
January,
for 2020.
we were so excited.
Taking on the world.
Yes. And then come March, right, things started to shut down. So we started to get a little concerned. Fortunately, our farmers market stayed open as an essential business. So we had
that was really the biggest fear, because that was at that point, 80% of the money coming in the door was from farmers markets. I mean, it's a big percentage, but if they would have closed the markets down, and they talked about it, like the city, the state, everybody wanted us closed.
Mhm.
But our particular market is mostly farmers and food vendors,
Mhm.
whereas a lot of the other markets had like
Crap.
crafty type people and that kind of thing. Those got closed down. A lot of them were closed
Mhm.
for the entire time.
Yeah.
And
So,
to remind people that you guys are in Tucson, so your seasons are a little bit reversed. So
Right.
from some of the other countries.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
winter is your high season when everybody's down there for
Yes,
the
everybody's
snowbirds.
snowbirding here. So
Yeah.
like really we're in, yeah, exactly. And our farmers markets are year round, but summer is like the slow time, right? Summer is like everybody else's winter. We all stay inside and avoid the 110-degree heat. And but people still come out to the farmers markets. We start early, and but yeah, our farmers markets are year round. And yeah, January through April is really our biggest push. And so then, the markets, then people, of course, were afraid and they didn't come out. So they slowed down almost to a screeching halt.
But internet sales, the flip side of that,
That's
you
true.
know, started to go up,
Mhm.
and I, for work, got,
You
furloughed.
were furloughed, so all of a sudden, as a massage therapist, you're
I'm
like,
at home. I got all kinds of time on my hands. So, we're like, well, we either, go in all in on this business while we have the time. And at first, the money, we still were like living high on the hog, from the high season. And I had a little bit of money coming in from unemployment, during that time, which everybody thought was like, oh, this will be, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks to flatten the curve is what they told us,
and then a couple months, and
months, and summer rolled on and all of it. So the deeper we got into COVID, the more we thought, well, let's just let's go all in.
Yeah.
So we started digging in at that point and really exploring like what might be possible. And I think I had been following you for some time, with your YouTube channel at that point. And so I was, was looking at like some of your programs. And I think what the first one we started with was really just the cogs, right? So we really started taking it a little bit more seriously as a business, right? And starting to look into that. So, exploring what we could do with online sales. And what we realized is that the way that we were doing okay with farmers markets, but the way we wanted to grow required us to step up and be a brand.
Yeah.
So that's when that's probably at the point where I reached out to you and we started having the conversations about like, okay, if we're going to really do this thing, we need to invest, and not just invest like in stuff, but invest in ourselves and invest in getting the knowledge that we needed to move forward. And we really, really wanted a package, partly because we had gone through a summer. Do you remember this? We went through a summer where, okay, so our product has the nuts, right? And they're roasted. So there's oil there. And then we use coconut oil. So there's oil there. And these craft bags that we were getting from Amazon, we got this bad streak of batches of bags. And in the summertime, when it gets really hot and you're out at the farmer's market in 110, the oil was starting to seep through. And we had secured this account at one point with this natural food store in California. And they were like really excited. And we even had somebody out there to do a demo for us. It was a friend of my sister's who did food demos at natural food stores. Interesting connection. But, and so she got us into this natural food store and she did a demo for us. And then we shipped a shipment to them and all the bags had leaked.
Every single bag.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And the same thing happened. So I think that was sort of a little like eye-opening to, okay, if we want to really do this, we need a better package.
We need to, level up, become a brand. Earl needs to get away from sticking stickers.
I can tell you without a doubt, I stickered that bag. Front and back.
Do you have dreams still, like nightmares of Avery label sticking?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because we actually used the last of our sweet heat bags yesterday in the kitchen. So I was like, okay, well, let's take some of the sweet heat, because we've been just opening bags, to use as samples and whatever.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. Let's dig out some of the old bags because we still had those bags, and I'll fill a few of those. So I filled a couple of them, and I brought them over to April, and I held up our old bag to our new bag, and I'm like, look at how far we've come.
Yeah, I know. Well,
the old bag is so huge, and I was like, that bag could eat the little bag. It's almost the same amount of product in there, but it was just so big.
And recently I had a customer come to me at the farmer's market and say, well, I used to be a purely Elizabeth fan, and now I've come over and I really love your stuff. And one of the things I really love about it is that when I open the bag's actually full.
Oh, right. I love it.
Sweated the size of the bag, like how big should the bag be?
Right.
Yeah, we went back and forth on a lot of those decisions.
Too big, not big enough, how many ounces, all of that.
Yeah.
So that made me feel good, like, oh wow, because she's like, I would open the Pure Elizabeth bag and it'd be like half full. And
right.
Crumbs in the bottom of the bag.
It's all just a consumer perception thing. But I think, what I remember is you guys being, of course, nervous, and, there was like, we got to build up trust, but you guys decided to go into it. We signed a contract, you went all in, and we started working with Christopher. You guys on the podcast know Christopher from CPG VIP and Tenfold, and he does amazing branding. So
love Christopher.
So good. And I'll just, I'll hold up both bags so you guys, we can see the new one here. And tell us a little bit about that process for you guys, because we had it was April's granola, and we were considering all options.
Yep. And was Four Kings Kitchen. With our LLC is Four Kings Kitchen. So we started the business as Four Kings Kitchen because it was kind of like there's 4 of us in our family and we all had blood sugar stories. So we it was a family business. And even though 2 of the family members are cats, it's kind of weird. But
your last name is King. I don't think we said that. So that's
and then our last name is King, right? So Four Kings Kitchen. And then we called the product April's Small Batch Better Than Granola, which is a mouthful.
Right.
And so, we started to think about how we wanted to brand ourselves. And we decided that there's a lot of misconceptions with Four Kings Kitchen. A lot of people thought, oh, are they a restaurant? Are they, we didn't really know what we were.
Yeah.
And then we thought, well, we'll call it April's Granola, or we'll call it Better Than Granola. And realizing that the trademarking process, we started that. The trademarking process is complex, and you can't really brand something that's like an everyday product, right? So the word granola is not really trademarkable in theory. I think it could happen, but it's rare. And so that's when we determined that we really wanted to hang on to better than. And better than means a lot of things to us. We felt like it was a better than product, right? It was better than what we were finding in the marketplace. It was better than the alternatives that were filled with, cheap fillers like oats and maybe even sunflower seeds. And then there was my history and background with nutrition and wellness. And the sort of the theory that I subscribe to is that you don't have to just make giant changes. You don't have to go from eating a standard American diet to becoming like this ketogenic lifestyle person, right? Or you don't have to become, go be an athlete if you are sedentary, right? It doesn't have to be like this big jump. It's just small choices and small changes that you can make that will add up. And really what it amounts to is just being a little bit better than you were yesterday, right? So making one decision that was better than the choice that you made yesterday, or eating one food that was better than the food that you ate yesterday, right? So it was about small, attainable goals and choices that will add up over time. So that's where better than really, that's how it was formed, from all those things. And then at some point, you know, our hope is that we'll have potentially other products. And we also wanted to be something that people could count on and something that people could take with them everywhere. They could travel with, they could, like Earl said, throw in your truck. You'd always have something that is a filling snack that isn't going to work against your health goals, you know, obviously provided you're not allergic to nuts, because then that would be a problem. But
That would not be for you. Yes.
right. And our product is we're not for you, right? And so that's where provisions came in, was just really, you know, wanting to be that staple for folks, whatever, however they see it, whether they see it as a breakfast or a snack. Most people use us, I would say, on yogurt or as a snack. Those are kind of the two, but there's so much versatility too, right? We have people that bake it into recipes and use it on savory things, and, you know, all kinds of different uses for it. But it's really that, in that way, we consider it a provision.
Yeah, I love that we came to that, and it all kind of, you know, it took some time. It wasn't an overnight process, but I feel like
April made that story sound so like, you know, we just zipped right to the end there, but
no.
there was some serious soul searching and conversations about, well,
lots of back and forth.
Where are we at our depth as a people and
Yeah.
a company and as a brand, and, you know, like how
I
many
think-
customer avatars did we go through to end up, you know, with Megan, you know? So, you know, there was we put a lot of work and effort and thought into it, and you know,
I think
we're very proud of where it landed.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because I think weren't we kind of going to go with April's or something along those lines, like, and then we shifted, and it's like magic now. It's like, oh yeah, this is exactly what it was supposed to be. And then we got with Christopher and started on the branding process. And you know, you can see if you're watching the video, we got April and Earl have their cool shirts. I got my t-shirt. Yeah, I'll step back. The full, it's in the microphone. But I mean, that process, I mean, to your guys' credit, like, I mean, you took this process very seriously, and we spent the time. I think I realized pretty quickly that, you know, this wasn't going to be one of those hurry up, let's just plow through and get it done. Like, April, you're very thoughtful. You want to come back and question, and both of you guys do. And so it was a process, but I'm so glad we went through it and we got exactly what you wanted out of it.
I appreciate you having that perspective, because I'm thorough, and definitely, you know, I mean, I can be a little bit gun shy too when it comes to making decisions. And, you know, I think that's part of what I've learned through this process, is how to better make decisions without sitting on it too long. Because time goes fast.
Yeah.
We were both A++ people when you met us.
For sure.
Which was part of the reason I think we dragged our feet on a lot of the decisions that needed to be made. And Sari, thank you for introducing us to B- work, because we would not be this far along without it. You know, like, and we joke about it all the time, you know, as we're moving through our day, and I'm in the kitchen, like cleaning up the kitchen. I'm like, you know what, babe, I'm just gonna do some B- work in here. You know, I'll do some of the dishes, but some of these are just gonna have to sit in the sink until tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to also, you know, talking about, you know, just your support, like teaching us the concept of B- work over always trying to be perfect. But your level of support in, like, the level of accountability that we have, by working with someone who has your level of expertise and your ability to, you know, and your background with building your own business, to know like when it's appropriate and when it's not, right? So like you and I have been going through this whole, like, we've had to make some changes to our package, and like the package is one of those things you want it to be as close to A+ as you can get, because that's what we're facing the public with. But some of this other stuff, like this farmers market sign that we're about to create, it doesn't need to be to that standard. It can be good enough and people aren't going to question it.
Right. Or your social media, your reel, right? I mean,
Right.
you've really done a great job of like, I think as a recovering perfectionist myself, and it's still a process, but perfectionism can be good in certain areas, but then it can just slow you down. And ultimately it's a tool for procrastination, right? Because if it's not perfect, then I don't put it out there, and then nothing gets put out there. So
I'm not visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to your credit, you've gotten so good at just putting stuff out there and like making decisions and that kind of thing. But I just want to finish up with branding. So we spent a lot of effort, a lot of time, Christopher, through a lot of your feedback. I guess tell us what you were looking for in a package, because I think we got there. But you were wanting some pretty special things in this package.
Well, Earl had talked about us being a premium product.
Yes.
And so we wanted everything that was associated with the brand to feel that way, right? If you're going to pay $14 for a 9-ounce package of granola, you want it's an experience as much as it is a product, a tasty product, right? So we knew our product was premium, and we also wanted folks to feel there's a lot that went in the package, because for those of you that have seen it now, you can see that it has sort of like a mid-century vibe, right? And so some of that came just as a review of who we actually have as customers, and we have a couple of different demographics. We have a younger demographic and we have an older demographic. So the older demographic can really resonate with that sort of mid-century feel as a nostalgic, like I have been there thing. And then the younger demographic sees it as something retro and cool and fun. And it's like, it's made its way back in that way. So, and the mid-century is a little like who we are as people, right? It's kind of the aesthetic we're into. We also wanted it to look different than anything else that was out there. We really wanted to be purple cow, right? So, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a book by Seth Godin, and it's just the idea that you don't want to look like everybody else. You don't, you know what I mean? If you really, really have something, then standing out is a good thing,
Right.
And so we wanted that. We also really love where we are now in the Southwestern United States, right? We love the vibe of the Sonoran Desert. And so you'll see in our colors represent a little bit of that warmer. It's got a mid-century color palette, but it also has a color palette that works really well where we're from now.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, you're totally right on that. Yeah.
And, Christopher just sucked all this stuff in like a sponge.
It's true.
And gave us what, we wanted, but even what we didn't know we wanted. Because, like she's talking about the Southwestern color palette, like I missed that. Like,
Right.
it was April or even him or someone else had to point it out to me. And I was like, oh yeah.
Amazing. We got
That's
that.
so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in there. But he really did such a great job in interpreting what it is we were looking for and the feel that we wanted. And he gave us other choices, right? We could have been this sporty,
I remember.
He
And
did
now we have the
hard.
white one.
He gave us 3 really great concepts, and we could have
great choices.
Right, we could have went any one of those directions.
Either way, any of them.
And so, but I think like the third option, which is right now what you have in your hand, is a variation of the initial design that he presented as a third option to 3 choices. And we entertained all 3 of them, but that one felt the most purple cow. That one felt the most like us. And that one felt like it was different enough that we could really stand out in the marketplace and on a shelf.
Yeah, and for me too, you guys, we went with photography. We decided not to go window. We really wanted to call out the premium. So on the back, we talk about the 5 nuts and why we chose them. They're works of art. Like when they stand next to each other, they all go together. I feel, and like the feel of the packaging is really nice too. So what do you think this packaging, this facelift, gave you guys when those packages finally arrived? Like, tell us about that experience when you finally.
So much.
I haven't been a parent, but I've built a house, and it felt very similar to building a house where you have to decide every little nut, bolt, screw, color, all of it. So when it finally came and arrived, I almost didn't believe it. And then it took a while for it to be out in the world, for the feedback to come back, for me to really believe, like, okay, we really did nail it. We just didn't think we did, because we thought we did. Like, it really felt great and looked great. But until you hear back from, not just fans that are already eating your product and loving it, right? Of course they loved it. But, once we started to get unsolicited wholesale offers, people coming up to the booth at farmers markets saying, we want you in our store.
Yeah.
Your packaging is beautiful, and your branding is on point, and people that are in the industry, for them to say that's when we knew we really had something.
Right. I mean, you already had confidence in the product, but you had to, I always say, like, at farmers markets, you can have that one-on-one relationship and sell it, and you had the co-op and you had some loyal fans there, but it is really, what I've seen is just, the confidence that you have walking into retailers and being online in the online space. And then just the ability to walk into a store and just be like, yeah, these belong here.
Yeah.
And feeling confident that the packaging is going to sell the product without you being there, right? Like,
Yeah, I think confidence is a real key word for us, right? We definitely.
And the bag doesn't leak.
There's no oil leakage.
And the bag doesn't leak. So that lends itself to confidence too, right? Because we can actually ship it out and not worry that somebody's going to get a leaky bag. But I think too, it opened a lot of doors, like Earl had alluded to, like people coming up to us and asking us. In fact, we just got I got an email the other day, and it was an inquiry from a local hotel that is building a second hotel that is a high-end boutique hotel. And they had gone to some of the local stores, the co-op, and there's some other ones, and they had found our product, and they had bought all of these local products, and they had brought it back to their team, and their team sat around a table and sampled all kinds of local products. And they had reached out because they said that our product was the staff pick. It was the staff favorite. Everyone loved it. They want to leave a bag in every room for their guests in the new boutique hotel. So it's a small boutique hotel, but that's still a huge deal. And when I had a conversation with the marketing person for that company, and she said, it was the staff pick. Every single person thought it was the best product, that out of all the products we had brought back, was the best product out of all of them. And she said, your branding is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Your branding really sets it apart. And we would feel really great about having your brand associated with our brand in our rooms in this,
So if anybody's questioning whether, like, working, a little pitch for CPG VIP with Christopher and Anna and David, but in my mind, there's no question that this is a really good investment.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Great investment. Our first investment was just working with you, which was an excellent investment. Wouldn't change a thing. In fact, that contract is up, and we're still continuing. Yeah, we're still going. So, you know, please throw yourself in that mix, right? You, Anna, Christopher, who we've all worked with. You know, we just got done working on copy for our new website with Anna Bradshaw, and she's amazing as well.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough about that. But yeah, I think having a team of people, I mean, obviously it's got to be the appropriate timing, right? You've got to make the decision that you're ready to make that move, you know, because everything sort of has to scale together, right? You've got to, in order to afford it, you've got to be able to make sales. Although we are finding that the sales have increased dramatically since making the change.
Yeah.
Right.
So, a little bit of the chicken or the egg. I mean,
and then you got to scale production, right? So you have to have all of these kind of pieces moving at the same time. And that's again another throwback to you, like, is to have you there to help us see it clearly, all the pieces moving together. That's been really critical in our progress, is to have that high level, these are all the areas that have to be moving forward, and where do we need to focus our energy and prioritize our time?
Yeah.
You know,
That's
money, right? Yeah, because it's still really just the two of us, but of course, then we have some contracted folks helping us. So
we've got a little mini team for sure. And and I, you know, for anybody listening, they're like, I don't know, should I work with my spouse or not? But one thing is, and you guys can talk about the ups and downs of that, but but I do love that you guys kind of wear different hats and you've split roles to some extent. And so April, you do marketing, email, social media, you're kind of overseeing production. And then Earl, you're the CFO hat. And then also you do a lot of the farmers markets and the salesperson, right? and then you help it with production as well. But how was that process for you, Earl? I know we spent a good amount of time on financials and kind of just cleaning up the back end of the business.
Originally, I thought my role was just going to be kind of to push April into going to do this thing. You know? Like, I'll figure out the numbers, you know, and then I'll just let her loose on it, because I had a career. You know, I was a massage therapist. I didn't have time for, you know, starting a packaged food business. You know, I mean, if I wasn't at work, I was tired and I had to rest. I mean, you know, I started doing the Sunday markets because I had Sundays off, and, you know, Sundays ended up being my favorite market, still my favorite market. So I wasn't personally prepared for the amount of the bigger role that I was going to play until I got furloughed. And all of a sudden, you know, here we are in the same house together, trying to sort, you know, COVID out, let alone what are we going to do with our business, you know, and each other. You know, you stare at your spouse who, you know, usually you're both off working, doing your things, right? And now all of a sudden we're like this. You know, what are you going to do today, Earl? What are you going to do today, Earl? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll take Sari's course on cogs, and, you know, I'll learn something. So it was definitely a very, and continues to be a growth period for me. Learning things about myself and the business and the taxes, and, you know, like, I get some of the, you know, more of the shit jobs, but I kind of like digging into it, you know. Honestly, a lot of it, most of it.
It's good to have that.
Thank God for that. Because like, if he had left, so I just to give a little background, I had left my job at the natural food store to pursue this because they had specific rules about not creating and selling products that compete with what they sell. So I left probably 2 months after we started. I resigned from that position and went to do this full time with part-time nutrition work on the side, right? So I was doing a little bit of part-time nutrition work and that, and then he still had his job and was out of the house working. And so I started, but honestly, if I didn't have him to do the financial piece, I don't know that we would be anywhere near where we are right now, because it's just not my area of genius, right? It's just not where I thrive. You know, I do math in a completely different way than most people. Earl calls it April math.
It's April math.
It's April math. And
it's very positive though.
It always
is. Best case scenario math.
Always 2 thumbs up. We should do it. Whatever it is, it's like we should do that because it's going to pay off.
It works out in my favor always.
So.
But yeah, so then to have him be able to invest full time was a huge blessing. But again, I mean, for those folks who, many of them listening will have had a spouse that got laid off or didn't work during COVID. And here you are where you were normally like doing your own thing and coming together. Now you're together all the time. And so I think that that was something we had to navigate it. And I would say, and I don't know if you agree with me here, but I would say that we grew in our relationship in ways that we might not have if we didn't have this business. You know, we had obviously that COVID break, which was, there was a lot of weirdness in all of that, but that aside, just entering into this working partnership has forced us to really look at and evaluate how we make decisions together, you know, how we get things done without, you know, bringing too much emotion into it, right? Because, and then also when there is emotion, like how do we deal with that?
Yeah.
And you know, because it doesn't work if you're in business together with your partner and you are in like an argument about something unrelated, maybe related, but unrelated to the business, and you decide you're not going to talk for 2 days, that doesn't work when you're running a business.
Hypothetically,
yeah, decisions don't get made and people don't get responded to, and it's just not a good look, right? And it's definitely not a good feel. So I feel like this has given us an opportunity to really, you know, become better partners.
I'm a cyclist and have been for 20 some years now. And I've always heard, although I've never ridden one, that a tandem bicycle is really the true test of any relationship that you might have.
Yes.
And I would say having a business together is very similar to that. It will point out all the cracks that you think you got sorted out, but no, don't have that one sorted out yet. So, but it's been really great. And in a lot of ways, you know, I don't know if we'd still be together if it wasn't for the business. I think the business was a glue that, you know, especially through some of those really hard times of like, well, you know, if I'm not a massage therapist anymore,
your
and
identity,
you're not a nutritionist, then who are we?
Who are we? Yeah.
Who are we as people, let alone as a business and a brand and an avatar, and you know,
yeah,
I mean,
you guys have reinvented yourself.
Talk about doing hard things. We did some really hard things in this last year and a half. So
sure.
Yeah.
And I know there's been times you guys took some breaks. Oh, funny story. I gotta say.
We took some breaks. Yeah, we took some breaks.
Not from each other, but from the work. But my ex-husband used to say, if we ever rode a tandem bicycle, we would get a divorce. And we actually never did ride one, but here we are. So yes, I completely agree with that analogy.
Well, I mean, relationships are hard without running a business together, right? Relationships definitely, I mean, to have a successful one, you need to work at it. You can't it just doesn't happen. So
to your guys' credit, I mean, you were already doing personal development work. You'd done the Enneagram. You know, I remember you asking me about my number, and you've done some other work, and then you guys were willing to do the work. You know, you've done Badass 30. We've talked about, you know, decision-making trees, and so you guys have independently done the work on yourselves, but then also together. And I don't know that you could do if people are thinking it's going to be like a cakewalk to work with your spouse and make it so easy.
Yeah,
I would challenge that.
There's a book in there. There's a book in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, let's just jump to the future. I mean, there's so many things we can talk about, but what I'm most excited about is in businesses that I work with, there's the grind, and you guys did the grind at the beginning, and you were kind of just reinvesting, you were bootstrapping, and then you decided to do this next level up of your business. We went through, I mean, it's still a grind, all the nitty gritty.
I was going to say, we're done grinding now.
You're not done 100%,
Okay.
but there's always some amount of nitty gritty that has to get done. But what I really see with the new packaging and some of the personal development work you guys have done, just honoring your word to yourselves and to each other and to the business, and showing up and doing hard things and doing B- work and putting more out there, that you guys have created more momentum now than I've ever seen. And that momentum, I mean, it kind of just gave me a little chills. Like,
Oh, really? Yeah.
it is so amazing to watch the more ease. It's not perfect by any means, but it just feels like you're having more fun in your business, and the money, the sales, the growth, the confidence is all happening at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know you guys have a big goal for this year, and that's something now that we've finished our contract and everything, and now we're working more on just me working with you as a business coach to help you just, like you said, see the forest from the trees. We talked about your 3 priorities for the rest of this year. But it's, I mean, I don't have any question that you guys are going to reach your big goal for the year, but how are you guys feeling as far as end of the year 2021 and then going into 2022?
Really excited. Yes. You think you're excited? Yeah.
I've watched Earl's brain blow a couple times, like blown mine, like,
yeah,
what is happening?
you have no doubt.
I enjoy sales. I mean, I have a whiteboard in the office where I track all of it. So from year over year, even, and come November, once November 1st hits, I'll have 3 more years to look back on.
Yeah.
Just, this is where we were, and this is how far we've come.
Yeah.
And
it's been consistent growth.
And now we're getting to the point at year 3, it's exponential growth.
Yeah. Right. And that's that momentum.
It's not just
flywheel, right?
60, 70% over last year. It's 100, 200, 300, 400% over last year. So it's kind of scary sometimes when I think of, like, can we produce enough?
Yeah, these are new problems to have, right? Yeah. It's like, like we're running out of product or
supply chain issues, and we've had some hiccups, through the last year, but haven't really needed to, haven't had the demand to really have to produce. Well, now guess what?
Now we're looking at production.
Road, and we're going to have to make it all happen, and I'm confident that we will. So like, things are coming together in a way, and April's now a kitchen manager. So like, all of a sudden we don't have this huge rent bill to pay.
Yeah,
that, I just gave her a raise. And that felt really great. So,
she deserves a raise for sure. I know that. Yeah, it's that flywheel catching, and we're on an app called Voxer, and I often get Voxers from April, like, oh my gosh, this just happened, and this is so amazing, and it just seems like those things are happening so much more frequently. But I want people to hear, like, this is not an overnight thing. This is there's a grind, and there's a level of, like, you didn't start out in this business with confidence. You started out with courage, and you were willing to take leaps and do the work and show up. Yeah. And now you have the confidence, right? Now you have the history to say, oh, we can figure it out. We'll figure out production. We'll figure out Amazon. We'll figure out how to do wholesale. We'll figure out this next thing on e-commerce.
Yep.
Yeah. And credit to you, helped us get there. Like developing the mindset needed to think bigger like that. I mean, I'm gonna get teared up now, but seriously, because
Earl's gonna make me, dang it.
yeah, because I wasn't, I had no mindset for that, the amount of money and time investment and personal investment needed to really be successful in this business. And, you know, once I could wrap my brain around it, it became easier. You know, I could let go, because I always felt like, well, we're not doing enough.
Yeah.
You know, why aren't we calling people? You know, why aren't we giving everybody, you know, why am I not yelling at people at the farmer's market to come over and sample our delicious granola, right? Like, I always felt like, well, I'm not trying hard enough. But, you know, when you do the work on yourself and you do the work on your business, like you say, the grinding out work, the packaging, you know, the behind the scenes stuff, the social media that April does. Like at first when we started the business, I didn't see I'm like, social media, what is that going to get you? Where is that going to, where does that play into it? But now, knowing what I know now about how the world and sales and all of it works, like you can't run a business without social media. Like,
it's a compounding effect. There's no one post that's going to be like, oh, this is the magic post, right?
Well, I think that could be said for the whole business, right? The compound effect. It's really just been, you know, one small triumph over the next that's built up our confidence, built up our sales, built up our presence in the community, built up our customer base. You know, it's one interaction and one choice at a time. It gets done. And and I think that, you know, we always hear in like business talk that the third year, right? Give it 3 years and then you're going to really start to see it. And now we're starting to see that. And we're looking to launch on Amazon in the new year, you know, and so that's what we're going to be spending our time on, right? Reaching our financial goal for this year, but then we've got a lot of things in play. We've got high season. This is our first high season where people are traveling more. So we're going to see a lot more probably traffic, and that we have the new brand. So we don't even know really what to expect in terms of our farmers markets, right? If we look at the past couple of weeks at our farmers markets, it's insane. And it's not even January yet, right? The sales that we've made already. So some of that we definitely attribute to our presence over the long run, the long haul, gaining some consistent regular customers, but then also toward the packaging and the new brand and the new presence that we have, and all of the connections that we're making in those realms, right? And we've built a lot of muscles. And
you have. I mean, entrepreneurship, people think it should just come easy, but it's not. There's the making of the product, there's the sales of it, there's the mindset piece of it. I know, Earl, you enjoyed the book I recommended, The Big Leap, which has been about like resetting your thermostat to have more expansiveness around, especially around money. Which I highly recommend that book for anyone who struggles with that. But yeah, your mind is like constantly like, what is happening? So it's so fun. So fun. Well, I feel like we could just talk and talk forever. I know there's so much, and we didn't even get to the fundraising that you guys did, but maybe that's a good topic for a future time. But these guys did an amazing Kiva fundraising round, and definitely go look at some of their social media. I mean, in general, they should go look at their social media, and it's fun to look, I'm sure, to look at the progression, the evolvement of it too. And for anyone who's thinking about starting or wants to level up their packaged food business, you guys are just real people, and you're just doing it. You're doing the work, and it's not like you had a ton of money and regular day jobs or anything. Like, you guys keep putting yourself on the line, and it's I don't know. When you were talking earlier, April, I kept it in my mind, like, yeah, you're just making every day better then. You're just showing up a little bit better than yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
That's what it feels like, right? It didn't just happen overnight. I think they said that you hear that companies will say that they'll be like, yeah, I spent the past 10 years becoming an overnight success.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
People
And I
will
kind of
believe
feel
you.
like that's where we are, right? We're behind the scenes. And then one day we're going to be looking at it and go, wow. And someone's going to say that company, like people will assume you started there, but no, we didn't, you're right. We didn't have a lot of money. In fact, the Kiva thing was the first time we had taken money from outside of our own resources. We had bootstrapped and fully funded ourselves with a very small, savings.
Yeah.
So
We started with $5,000.
initially, yeah. Yep. And then we put more into it of our own money. But yeah, when we got to the Kiva, it was finally time to ask other people for help to help us get to the next level. And I'm guessing we'll be there again, where we're going to have to go outside ourselves.
Yeah.
But again, it's not overnight. It was just like small things adding up over time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But even with the Kiva loan, what I saw is like, yeah, great, you got the money, but like you guys had to evolve and become a better than version of yourselves and do some hard things, ask people for help and get outside of yourself. And I think it made you even better for going through that process.
Agreed.
Yeah. Oh, I could just sing your guys' stuff, your praises all day long. And, this is going to come out around Thanksgiving. I already told these guys and I'm like, this is just the perfect episode, because I'm so grateful for you guys and just, like I said, so honored to walk this journey with you and to be a small part of your success and cheer you on. And so thank you for trusting me and investing in yourselves, having courage to do it.
Thank you for riding with us, because I know from your end, it's probably, a challenge to support. I mean, not in a bad way, but a challenge to support people who are going through this, because there's so much that we've gone through.
Yeah.
That isn't just the to-do list, is the growth that has had to happen, and the personal challenges that we've had to overcome, just as people. So we can't thank you enough.
And you could have walked away several times and been like, I'm done with these two. They're nuts.
Yes.
Yeah, they're crazy.
I'm nuts.
I'm nuts.
That's it.
But
Yeah.
You hung in there, so you're going to be a part of our team, I think, for a while. So
Yeah.
Stick around.
Well,
Stick around for all the good stuff.
yes, we're riding the wave now.
Ride the wave.
We get better than from here. So. Oh, amazing, you guys. Thanks for being here with me today and spending part of your afternoon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So good, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did recording it with them. There are such good things in store for April and Earl. And I apologize about not having my podcast microphone on, but that's all right. We do B- work around here and we just keep moving forward. I want to give you that last reminder that Food Business Success does close today on November 30th at midnight. So if you are thinking about joining, if you've been wondering if this is your sign, if this is the time, yes, it is, because it is closing for the rest of 2021. And if you want to join me inside the goal workshop on December 2nd, you have to be a Food Business Success monthly member. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the website, foodbizsuccess.com, and I would love to see you live on that workshop or in one of our group coaching calls. All right, until next time, I hope you have an amazing week. Are you ready to start that delicious idea that you make in your home kitchen, or grow your existing packaged food business and take it to the next level? the most successful food business entrepreneurs have support, guidance, focus, and accountability to help them make it happen quickly without wasting time or money. Plus, I think starting your packaged food business should actually be fun. Food business success is your secret ingredient to creating your food business dream. Please don't go this alone. Check out the private free Food Business Success Facebook group to connect with other foodpreneurs, get your questions answered quickly, share your wins, and receive special training and tools I only share inside the private community. Just search for Food Business Success on Facebook or get the link in the show notes. Curious about how Food Business Success can help you? Head over to foodbizsuccess.com and fill out the application to see if you're a great fit for the program. Together, let's make your food business dream a reality.